I was told that there are certain accents that we can't put on anymore. And for like a split second, I thought about it. Then I thought, this is just crazy because there are 3 of us only. If there are accents that I cannot do, then I will only be playing 3 Chinese people. Because we happen to be 3 Chinese people. So it cannot possibly be, right? That then I'm doing the history of Singapore. Then what? Then they all be Chinese people. I will only be like representing the Chinese people in Singapore. And then would that not be more racist?
If you're looking for something to make you the most interesting person at your next dinner party, check out Tell You First, our new podcast series. In every episode, Terence and I dive into mind-blowing topics you never knew you needed to know. We've talked about why Singapore TV peaked in the 1990s, the history of beer brewing in Singapore, and even why the government banned long hair until the 1980s. It's entertaining, educational, and edgy, with a touch of good old humor and that Singaporean flavour. For every episode, only one of us knows the details about the topic, while the other is completely clueless. Perfect for comedy and learning, of course. So go ahead and click on the link in our bio or search for the Tell You First podcast on the Me Listen app, Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And now, on to the podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news and have conversations with very interesting people, all with a touch of what, Terence?
Good old humor, man.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah, and no one better to talk about good old humor, right?
Yeah, there's
Who are you calling old? You tell me. Who are you calling
No, the
old?
humor,
That's
the
it,
humor.
man. Out of here. You tell me, come here, talk to you all nicely.
Whoa, perfect way to talk about the state of comedy in Singapore.
Yeah. Offended. Everyone's
Offended, yeah,
already.
sorry.
Yeah, that's the state of it.
Offended.
State of the art.
Offended, really.
Yeah.
Because we have none other than Chief Dim Sum Dolly and one of the founders of, the founder of Dream Academy, Selena Tan.
Hello.
Welcome. Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. I just read, Ministry of Funny.
Yeah.
You all should actually ask to start a ministry because our government not very funny.
No, actually, they have been very funny of you, wouldn't you?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But not intentionally.
Not intentionally.
They haven't put real thought into it.
Yeah, but that's the mark of a true comedian, right? They
That's
make it
true.
seem unintentional.
That's true. They're so good, actually. They've got me fooled.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's
You are absolutely right.
Everything sort of writes itself these days, right?
It does, actually. It does. I was just saying, I can't remember who I was talking to, but it's true that comedy does write itself, especially when you're in a situation like in Singapore. Things happen fast and furious, and then you actually have no say in it.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you just listen to it, you can laugh inside.
Yeah,
But you come to the theatre, you can laugh out.
Yeah.
And like your podcast also can laugh, right?
Yeah, I can say anything.
But now, I mean, the reason you're here also, right, is, and why we're talking about writing and all that, is because you have a very big show coming up where you're going to be taking a lot of elements from history, society, politics, everything into the show.
Yeah, the Dim Sum Dollies, I mean, we started off as a satirical trio, right? Cabaret satirical. But I can't remember now, the years have all blended. I'm so old already. But sometime back, let's just say that sometime back, we stumbled upon this, a good friend of mine suggested, the history of Singapore. Sort of like a no holds barred, talk kind of like make up things on our own, but sort of loosely based on historical events and people.
Yeah.
So we did that one before, the years before 1965. And then I think 10 years ago, we did the 50th, when everybody was celebrating the Jubilee.
SG60.
Yeah, SG50. But that one we did before it was SG50. At 49, we jumped the gun.
I see.
Yeah,
Ahead of the
premature, yeah. And then this year also, not yet 60.
We're jumping the gun.
But we jumped the gun again. We never let other people go first. That's the thing.
That's good because they always say that start of the year there'll be all these SG60 celebrations. You all are starting the celebration before the celebration.
Exactly. They don't even know what's going to hit them. It's all part of the plan.
And the name of the event is 60 Sexy Years. 60 Sexy
Then you got to
Years.
come and watch the show to see which part is actually sexy and which part is 60. I
Is it?
don't know that one.
But then I see certain interviews you're saying that this could be the last time the Dim Sum Dollies get back together.
Okay.
Why?
It happens all the time. Every time I do another Dim Sum Dolly, they'll say, like how many? It's like as if they're looking at my shelf life. They're going like, I think you can last only another few. I don't know. But the truth is that, parts of my body are protesting. Okay, like the knees, the knees.
Okay.
So I was just telling them, I said, I'll do it for as long as I can, for as long as people want to hear me say whatever it is that we want to say through our shows.
Yeah.
But, sometimes because there is a lot of, this is not just sitting down. I wish I could do a show, like just sit down and talk. I mean, we are like singing, we're dancing, we're doing our skits, we're acting, we're changing a super fast change, hair all the way down to the shoes and everything.
Yeah.
So it takes a toll on this body. So I don't know. I'm just saying that, frankly speaking, it's not like I can go on forever. It might possibly be the last full-length show that I will do. That's all I'm prepared to say at the moment. Because I don't want that next year I do something, they go, but you said...
But no like plans for a reboot or anything like that. Like
we talked about this also lah. I mean, it's possible. It's just that the way that the business has gone. I'm not very much of a I plan, but I'm not like a 5-year plan, 10-year plan down the road kind of a person. I think things evolve as we go along. If something happens, then you rethink things and you go like, okay, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. You move along and So I like to play it sort of like. Keep it sort of free and easy at the moment. If something else comes to mind that has to be done, I will do it. If it doesn't, then I probably won't.
That means you're going to be like, possibly like Robert Downey Jr. He used to be Iron Man. Later he comes as Dr. Doom.
Later I think I must let my son hear this one because he will say, wow, Robert Downey Jr. and my mother are like that. I mean, seriously, I think when we were younger, it was more like so this year I'm going to do this, next year I'm going to do that, because you really want to like make sure that you are going somewhere. There's all this like thinking that, what am I going to do next year? What am I going to... Now I'm more like, is there something worthwhile saying? Is there something worthwhile putting up? Or do people actually think that what I'm putting up is worthwhile or worth their dollar? If not, then maybe I just chill a while. So that's maybe doing nothing for a while is not such a bad idea.
But does that make you also enjoy the process a bit more? Because you're doing it because you want to do it, as opposed to... Because I can imagine earlier in a career of an artist, you really want to make sure you are just grinding and hustling, right?
But that's a really good question. But for me, I guess because this is not something that I studied to go into. From day one, this is what I really wanted to do. It's like you couldn't hold me back if you wanted to, right? So I went in there, and even though I was grinding, even though I was like, wow, I want job after job, it's because I loved it. If no part was too small, nothing was too, I wanted to do it all. I wanted to do everything. Then as you go on, then you think, okay, I want to spend a little bit more time on this. I want to like work this out. Maybe I want some time in between to, sort of recalibrate a little bit. And then because you're slowing down yourself, right? I mean, like your brain is not operating at the kind of processing speed that it used to. Then, so in answer to your question, I think I've always enjoyed doing what, being on stage. Or putting stuff on stage. I mean, there are other things that I may not enjoy, like the business part of things. But generally, if I'm in a rehearsal room or if I'm like on a roll writing, I'm in a happy place.
But Dim Sum Dollies is something that has really stood the test of time, right? We've not really gone into the history of it, but I was asking our Gen Z colleagues earlier. And they're like, oh yeah, we know Dim Sum Dollies.
Sure
really?
They know
the jingle.
Correct.
They know the jingle,
Don't
the MRT jingle
the train
and
is
everything.
coming, that one.
Yeah.
Embarrassing.
So they know.
So, and there's a lot of stuff that they tell us we are too old. The stuff we like, they don't give a shit. But Dim Sum Dollies, they do.
They know.
Yeah.
So like, I did want to ask you, your career, you've done a lot. What does Dim Sum Dollies mean to you in your career?
It means a lot. I mean, it means everything really, because it's something pretty early on in my professional career. That means after I went into this full time, pretty much it was already germinating.
Okay.
And then very quickly I managed to pull people together. And then my best friends were working on it. And then it withstood the death of a best friend. And then it had to pull itself out again. And then bring in new life and work through that. And then still sort of like, try to bring something else to the table and keep on regenerating while keeping what I felt was the essence of what I wanted from the beginning. True to that. I mean, as much as we could. So in other words, in terms of my career, I would say that this is the one thing that has really withstood the test of time, in that it's not just about me, it's about I guess
community.
Community, and also
brand,
an idea.
The idea.
An idea, a philosophy. I guess a philosophy behind it. If I had to think about it, but I don't, when I'm doing it, I'm not actually thinking about it. It just is like that.
What was the original philosophy that you set out in the early 2000s?
I watched something when I was in Edinburgh at the Fringe. I think that was 97, 98 or something like that. And I remember it was just three ladies, and they were just singing really stupid songs. I mean, they were just kind of like, but it was never really stupid. It always kind of like had a point at the end. And I came back and I thought about it, and I thought, but it was all very angmo, it was like very sort of Western perspective on things. And I thought, well, there are things that about life that we go through here that I could possibly borrow that kind of technique or use that to sort of highlight certain things that I felt like I wanted to talk about or bring up. So we started working on it, and then when Pam and Emma both came in, and then we've had great directors. So Ivan came to direct, and then now Glenn has done most of our directing. But I think Ivan kind of described it best. It's like we're like dim sum, or we're like a very beautifully put together small morsel of yumminess, but inside, right? If you don't eat carefully, right, there could be a little razor blade in there that you might get cut on if you're not, if you're not careful. It's just there's an edge to it. There's an edge to it, and that has been the difficult thing in making sure, because it's easy to make something that looks kind of like just beautiful, but to have it also be a bit dangerous. That's kind of where we are.
So if you go back even earlier before that, because the fact that you were at Edinburgh means you had interest in the performing arts and comedy already. It was a Fringe festival, was it?
Yeah.
So like, just so you mentioned, this is something you've always wanted to do. How early does that go back?
Oh, wow. Let me see.
Because you also studied law, right? So,
yeah.
How is it?
So when I was young, I guess my parents are very, they were young. They are young parents, or were young parents. I don't know how you phrase that, but so they were very into their music and all that. So we kind of grew up. I grew up sort of surrounded by listening to my parents, like what they would listen to, and then I had a lot of cousins. So there was a lot of singing. My sister we all sing, dance, whatever. At age 14, I begged my parents for a sum of money, and I think it was like, I don't know, under 300, just under 300, which was a lot of money back then for like one child to ask for, to go for a camp. And that my literature teacher at that time, and at this point I would like to say that it's a travesty that there are not enough literature teachers and that students are not picking up the subject or any of the humanities. But anyway, my literature teacher said, go for this camp, I think you'll enjoy it. It was put together by, at that time, the American theatre company called Stars. And it was called Youth Theatre Singapore. And it was held on Sentosa. That didn't look like that last time. But so I begged for the money, and then my mom and my dad said, okay, fine, go. And I went, and then from there, it was a 3-day camp. And I just loved it. I mean, I just really enjoyed, I think I just enjoyed being with people who also enjoyed creating make-believe scenarios, situations. So we played this game which blew my mind. It was stupid. They probably play it a lot nowadays, but like everybody, like let's say there are 20 of us, and we all go to like this open, like what looks like a void deck, and then there's some chairs, and then you all receive these little envelopes, and then before you go in, and then they say, okay, everybody, you're here at the airport waiting room, and one of you is a terrorist, right? And then you all have to like just interact with everybody. I mean, one of you is carrying the bomb, basically. And then you have to interact with everybody and pretend you are who you are. Let's say you are a teacher or professor or whatever. So you pretend you are who you are, and then you talk to people. And then you have to, at the end of it, you have to guess if you don't guess, that means the whole place gets blown up and then you all die.
That sounds like a government ad or a government
Isn't
campaign.
it terrible, right?
But it's a board game that we play these days.
exactly,
Called
right?
Secret Hitler, right?
It's true.
Yeah, but at that time there was nothing like that. So it blew my mind. I never played anything like that before.
It was part of the camp, the theatre camp.
Yeah, it was part of the camp.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so I was only 14 years old, right? So I was like, and then after that, they said, oh, since you enjoyed the camp so much, why don't you all come and volunteer? This was the American theatre company, right? So the American expats used to like Stage Club now, stage like musicals, like every year, maybe 2 or 3 every year, they go to Victoria Theatre and stage. And then all the American expats will be playing the roles. But we are the volunteers. We are the 14, 15-year-old volunteers. We just go there, like maybe we make coffee. We sweep floor, clean toilet. Then after that, when like you need little children to run around in the show, but it was great fun. I mean, we had a great time. So from there, I just started, liking it, doing more stuff. And then just gradually grew.
But then what made you go into law?
I think at that time, right, it's very different from now. Now, if you ask somebody, they can actually tell you, I want to be an actor or I want to be a singer. At that time, there was no such thing. Nobody is an actor or a singer. It's like, it's like, are you crazy? There's no such thing. No. So if you ask me, from a very young age, I always wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah, I did. I just did. I don't know why. I just naturally thought it was damn happening and interesting. I wanted to know why there were law. Why is there this thing called law? Like who decides, and then like how to how does it all work?
But not police. Not join the police or anything.
How come?
Yeah. You wanted the words part of it.
Yeah, the words part. Yeah, I think so, The argument part. Maybe I was just very argumentative. So I don't know why, but I always wanted to be a lawyer. And like really, I would go to the library to look up books.
Really?
To read, which I didn't understand at all, but made me feel happy about it. So then, so I became a lawyer.
So, but you studied law, and you practiced law for a while,
For
right?
a short while.
Short while.
I think I was called to the bar and I graduated in 94. That means I was called to the bar in 95.
Yeah.
I left by 97.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I left by 97.
You had a taste already.
Was it like an awakening? Because you said you love law, right?
Yeah,
but then in the end, what made you leave?
Oh, because I think by the time I became a lawyer after pupillage and PLC and all that, I was called to the bar. It was tough. I mean, it's difficult, right? I mean, it's not an easy job by any means. And then you're like bottom of the... And by that time, I had been acting for so many more years than I had been a lawyer. So skill, I mean, as in like comfort level and skill set, I was more an actor than I was a lawyer.
But lawyers also must act, right?
Not initially, yeah. Initially, you only get scolded.
Okay.
Very different from nowadays. Nowadays, you cannot scold. Right? And those times, like, you just cannot whack. They throw your things, they slap you, they scream at you, they scold you. It's all normal behavior, normal. If you don't get, means you're not even considered. Yeah. So I think at that time, I decided, no, I can't. I'm young enough. I will have a degree to fall back on, as my parents have always told me. And I had no financial commitments. I had no burdens. I saved up a little bit of money, and then I had a string of job offers in terms of like freelance acting work. So I thought, okay just go just do right? Anything I can go back. Then if no money, no food to eat at home. My parents will sure feed me, right?
Yeah.
So then I just made the jump. That's all. Yeah.
So I mean, then for you, like, how big a priority was it early on in your career to find a community? Because you're saying earlier, like, when you go into that camp, you found that there was a community of people, right?
That's the beautiful thing about like acting. Once you're in. The community is just there because it's so small. I mean, first of all, the community in Singapore at that time, and I guess now also, it's so small. Everybody knows everybody, and it's not like, okay, maybe I'm representing it wrongly, but I never felt like I was in competition with anybody. I mean, I didn't really feel that. Also because maybe I'm not like maybe I'm bigger size, or maybe I'm not like leading lady material. It's like there's no real fight. So I immediately found my niche as like best friend, or like I mean, like, like the sidekick with the slight twitch. I don't know. It's like I was not competing with anybody. I was just like, like happy to be like
part of it,
like there, right? So I felt that the community came easy. And then but the difficult thing I thought was when you go freelance, I think this applies to anybody who's freelance. When you first start, the fear is that you really don't know whether or not the jobs are gonna dry up. Right? And then it's like, are you gonna be good enough to like,
have a stream of like
last? So I think when I was young at that time, in my 20s, it's like you take everything, man. It's like morning you wake up, you work, and then it's like you run to the next job, then you run, and then it's like anything that paid you like slightly more than your bus fare, you take, because it's like you just don't know. So then that's just how life was.
But it must have been an exciting time?
Very, very exciting.
But were you living like gig to gig? Because you said just now that you're not someone who plans 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
If you go back there, were you already thinking, or when did you start thinking about the idea to...
Maybe not 5 to 10 years, but I will plan like maybe 1 year.
1 year.
I'm not the kind who will just sit back, like nobody hire me. Like, I'm not, I guess at that time, I'll be too scared to be like that. I will at least make sure that, I have enough for like the next, I don't know.
Next year.
Yeah.
So, but then when did the inkling towards starting something like, Dream Academy?
So that was because nobody hired me. I mean, that was because it was like, I think I had everything lined up until, I think I had a free month. 1 month, like in November or something like that, I hadn't been booked for anything for. So I was like, what am I going to do, right? So then I thought, okay, I had some money, and that time was not very expensive. So I thought, okay how difficult can it be? I'll just do a stand-up, not a one-woman show, share my journey, that kind of thing, sing a few songs. And my whole family helped me. So like my parents, they were all selling tickets, or writing program, or like, like doing the front of the house. So we did, I think, 2 or 3 shows at the Far East. What's that place called? Far East, not Square. Is it Square?
Plaza?
Near China Street, Telok Ayer down there. Or whatever that place is called.
China Square, no.
No, but it's Far East something. Anyway, there's a pavilion there. So I think I convinced them to like, like help me out or whatever, or give it to me for very cheap, whatever. And I did my first show there. So in order to do that first show, I had to, my lawyer mind kicked in. So I incorporated a company to do that first show.
I see.
So that's how the company started.
And what year was that?
I think we incorporated in 2000.
2000, okay.
And why the name Dream Academy?
It was something I thought of when I was like 14 or 15 years old. I know it's a band. I know now it's the name of a band. Okay? But at that time, I didn't. And I just thought, I have all these dreams, that all these things I'm thinking about, but I know it's going to take work and it's going to take a lot of learning. So I just kind of put the two together. I didn't really, think very hard about.
But it's a good name for Singapore because, it ties in the education, focus.
And, which I never do. That's what my mother always said. Why don't you teach kids? I'm like, I used to do that when I was much younger, but now I feel like I don't know if I'm qualified. I don't want to destroy anybody.
But I mean, the idea of academy doesn't necessarily only about education. But it's almost
it's like a group of
apprenticeship also in some ways. Because I mean, over the years, like you've done shows like Happy Ever Laughter, where you are actually introducing new comedians to the Singapore audience and all that. Like how important is it for you to blood like new comedians in this way?
That was not. So that one started much later. I think it was like 2006 or something. And I remember the first time I thought of that, and it was the title. I just one day thought, wouldn't it be funny if I had a show called Happy Ever Laughter? And then I thought, what kind of show would that be? I said, I put a whole bunch of comedians together, and then they'd make us laugh, and then that was kind of it. And then when we were talking about it, I said, okay, I mean, clearly I need some like big time names to draw the crowd in. And then I think I talked to my producer about it at that time. I said, But if I have big time names and the crowd's already drawn in, then hey, let's get some people who are just like going to start up or whatever, and then like put them in the show as well. That means small, shorter time maybe, but people see them and then maybe they can. I don't know why. It just seemed a very natural thing to land upon. But
is that part of the culture of the art scene, the media scene, where there's a lot of apprenticeship generally, and people kind of look?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, like like when we were like the kids in the theatre company, and then we just went there. All we did was sit there and observe. Really, just sit there and watch, and then soak it in. And then every now and like once in a blue moon, they'll say, "Okay, I think this one you can do," and then you get a chance, and then you get a taste or something. So maybe somewhere in that psyche, and that's where it came out.
But when you started it in 2000, and like, what was the scene of the performing arts in Singapore, and just the appreciation for arts in Singapore at that point in time?
There were, I mean, like what was I gonna say? What's that company? Pao Kun's company was there, and then there was Theatre Works. I think Action Theatre was there. So there were a few mainstay companies, but they had just transitioned to full time. By full time, I mean, so when I was still performing, when the start, the American theatre company I told you about, basically they became what we know as the Singapore Repertory Theatre now, SRT. When they turned SRT, for the first few years when I was doing work with them, I was essentially still a lawyer. So basically, and most of my there were other people we all work full-time jobs, right? Yeah. And then we rehearse at night. And then we go out for supper because we're young and we can. And then we sleep a few hours. Then we go to work the next morning and we work the whole day. Then we rehearse again. So that was the thing. But when the theatre company started to transition to using professionals, then it became possible to rehearse in the day. So once that started happening, was when I left my day job. Because at that time, I think we did a twist of fate with SRT, and I was still in the law firm. And I would work in the law firm, and thankfully the theatre, the place where we rehearsed is like a 5-minute walk from my law firm at Telok Ayer. So I would walk there at lunchtime, take an extended 2-hour lunch rehearsing or whatever, and then go back, finish up my work, and then come back again at about 6:30, 7, and then rehearse till about 11. And then tomorrow I start like all over again. So that was, after a while, there's obviously burnout because your mind is kind of like all over the place. Then by 99, a few of the main companies were already turning professional. So that's when I knew that if I don't make myself available during the shift to daytime, very soon people will stop using you, or they cannot use you rather. So that's kind of, and audiences were growing. I think there were, and I think there was a hunger to go out to the theatre, and there was more kind of local content. So things were just starting to happen. And then I had Under One Roof as well at that time. So it kind of all happened all at that same, at 99, around that time, 99, 2000. So it just kind of all happened at the right time.
I see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very blessed. There's no doubt. It's been very lucky that everything kind of like happens. So that's kind of how it was.
So just now when you said they started to turn professional, meaning that they started to be able to generate revenue to pay people professionally, or what do you mean? Or like people were doing this full time?
Like last time when we were doing things like working part-time, I mean, I say like only rehearsing at nights and weekends, right? All weekend. You get paid maybe like $50 for like 4 months work or 3 months work or something like that.
Okay.
But when we started going professional, I think it just, I mean, you can't really earn a living yet. I mean, you can't do like one show for the month and like be able to survive. I mean, but you could say do that one show and then like do side gigs.
I see.
Like be I don't know, like corporate model for like,
a
teaching
host or something.
or like or host something or sing a song here or write, do some writing, that kind of stuff. You can earn a little bit of money here and there. Yeah, and I don't think like decent money was like livable money was possible until. Actually, you ask people, I don't think it's even possible now. But I think maybe like 2005 around there when like the big shows were happening and then like when the Esplanade was open. I think Esplanade was 2003, right? 2003. After that, I think maybe it kind of got
more mature.
Yeah. So it's more possible lah. But it's still a hard.
Yeah,
for the ones who are starting out now, it's tough. It's tough.
So you're saying it's harder now to be an actor?
Actually, I don't really know, but from what I mean, you're not gonna starve unless you're really terrible. I mean, unless nobody wants to hire you at all. Yeah. But I think if you are sort of like able to get the roles or the jobs, you should be able to make a decent living. But yeah.
Okay.
But if you stay at that level, it's like it's the same everywhere lah. You want to be an actor. In Singapore, there's no such thing as like an A-list actor, and then you get paid like I don't know, like
enough to retirement.
Yeah, exactly. There's no such thing.
I see.
You want to earn more money, you got to go into something else. It's got to be a business. It's got to be something else.
Become a crazy rich Asian
in
some way.
I don't think you'll ever be a crazy rich Asian, but that one is like you got to inherit the money.
Yeah.
Or I think you got to really expand you have to do hosting, you have to do comedy work, you have to do some producing work, you have to do
Does that get in the way of like your craft of being an actor? Like having to do all the business side of things and hosting?
I don't know, man. We are all so used to it. It's really hard to say now. Nobody has the privilege of just being an actor. I mean, I wish we could, but I think it's tough. I mean, I've been talking to a few, and like this couple of years, even though we're back from COVID, or like this year, next year, times are not really quite. We're not quite there yet, or rather, we were there. There was some like revenge spending, and then now people are kind of like a bit more reserved in their spending, and so I think times are still not so easy.
But wouldn't that be like super scary for a young actor or actress starting out? Because I mean, ultimately, you also have even gone to Hollywood and did the rounds there and everything. But for you to say that it's even it's still tough, right?
Still tough.
It's like quite scary for a young person, right?
I mean, for me, because I went into the business side of things, it's different now, and also, I'm old. I mean, I'm older now. I'm looking more. I mean, as in like I have a family set up. We're not relying on my we're not relying on my income to survive, right? But if you were like a young and up and coming performer or whatever, and it's not easy. You have to be open to doing a lot of things to cari makan. It's just the way it is.
So like, how is your thinking towards, being an artist? Especially, I mean, when you were younger now, or when you think about younger kids, given that you started off as an artist and then you built a business, so in some way you're juggling both hats, right? Has that made you look at the steps you took as an artist or the steps you see other people take as an artist with a different lens? Now that you understand the business side of things or the reality of Singapore, that you can't just go down the artist path.
Yeah, of course, completely. And I think that I wish sometimes I don't have to, because let's say for now, just this show, Dim Sum Dollies, right?
Yeah.
Just the upcoming show. I love being like learning my line or whatever, but rehearsing, let's say, putting things together or seeing if it works. But at the back of your mind, there are like 5,000 other things happening. There's like, okay, what's happening. I have a very good team of a small team, but it's still every now and then something will pop in your mind. Oh, what if we did this? Or is somebody else looking out for that? It can be as small as what kind of food are we going to order for the team to like as big as whose database can we write on next for to try and sell tickets, to like, has IMDA come back with any censorship things that I have to deal with? Who do I need to chase in the government to get approval for whatever? So they're just so much happening that it makes it difficult to enjoy the moment, like just like that one moment. Yeah.
Yes.
But would you say you are better at business or the craft?
Oh, that's so difficult. How to ask me this kind of question? Ask them. I don't know. I think I'm better at all. I don't know.
The reason I ask that is also because, I mean, I think like what you say, every artist goes down the path in Singapore. You can't just do one thing. Like.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think the reality is, even I might ask myself sometimes, if we just focus on the craft, will we be way better at our craft if we didn't have to worry about the business? Because I think in some way it does affect.
I believe
other,
so.
Like. Yeah.
I mean the what do you call it? I think it has to be so. I mean, I think if all things being equal, and I don't have to like worry about anything else, and my talent is just like that. If I could put my everything into just perfecting one skill, one craft, I think that I will become better at it. Yeah, but you're asking me whether or not knowing everything else around it makes me better. Yes, but do I have to be doing everything at the same time? That cannot make me better. I mean, maybe I have an understanding, or maybe I can, I've done it all like that before, but after that I'm released from it, and then I can concentrate on one part of the craft. I think that will definitely be better. It's like a concert pianist.
Yeah.
I mean, if the concert pianist also had to worry about their bookings and their like where they're going, their travel plans and the logistics, I can't imagine that that would be So I think it must be right. I mean, you work hard and you dedicate yourself completely to one craft. You should get better at it and if you're not getting better at it, means just move to something else. I mean, I just
go ahead.
So you've had the opportunity, like what Terence said, you have worked with people from Hollywood, from other different industries. Anything you have realized from working with these people from different markets, from different societies, that where the arts have maybe different priorities, that you look back that, oh shit, Singapore, we don't have that, or that we have it but it's just not channeled the same way?
I mean, I guess I've only worked abroad. I mean, just in terms of movie making. I mean, just in terms of like in the movies, right? The only thing that I would say that is different is that their infrastructure, as in the industry, actually not infrastructure, but the industry is so much more developed and so big, right? That we would never be able to match that. We would not. We can try for a million years and we would never be like that because we are so small. I mean, it's just in terms of size. So should we emulate? Should we like take what they have and then do exactly the same here? I wouldn't think that would be advisable either. So it's like we need to do what works for our this size of this size of industry. Their industry, they need those other things in place because they are dealing with there's so many people involved. So they have to regulate it in a particular way. And there are definitely plus and minuses. I mean, there are plus because, I mean, everybody knows what they're doing, more or less. And then they you have support at every turn as long as you know what to look out for. I mean, because if you don't know the department is available for you, then it's also no use. I mean, you need to know what to like search out in terms of that industry. But in Singapore, we are more nimble. I think we can move faster. Like, I don't need to like go through however many departments that they have to go through there in order to get like one change done. Down here I can like, hello. The person next to me is doing like 10 things that 10 departments are doing. So there are plus and minuses. I mean, the minus here is that of course, life is tough. I mean, you got to do the work of 10 people. But down there, it's like, my department is only I move this cup. So I'm moving the cup. So y'all want this place to be clean, you're going to call the other department. You know what I mean? It's an exaggeration, but it's kind of like, and
a lot more siloed.
Yeah, and in a way it's good for them because if you are working in the department of the cup moving, right, you want to make sure that, cup moving is always going to be yours.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, so, yeah, it's just different. There's no way that we can compare because it's...
But skill-wise, is that like the cup movers there are they the best cup movers in the world?
Yeah, because that's all they do.
Oh, really?
They move cup only. They don't have to go and they don't have to clean, they don't have to move table, they don't have to move chair. So they are skilled at what their department does. And really that's a wonderful thing for them. So when you go to the cup moving department, you can rest assured
your cups will
be moved perfectly.
The best.
I mean, yeah. I mean, okay, I mean, within reason now, because they can hire the wrong people, or whatever, but all that. But what I mean is that's that setup. Yeah. That's that setup. I think it works for them because otherwise there are too many. The industry is too big.
Too big.
Yeah. And the movies that I just watched. I just watched Wicked last night because it just opened it, and the John Chu who directed Crazy Rich Asians also directed Wicked. I just look at that movie, right, and I go like, how many million people must have worked on this movie? It's so beautiful. It's really a wonderful movie. You have to watch it. It was really, really good. But it's like we would never, like make a movie like that. Because we just don't have the people for it. We just don't have the departments for it. Whereas for them, it's like, one person writes a thing and then everything else falls into place. Of course, you need a visionary still. You still need that one person there who's able to conduct the departments together, the orchestra. But they can do it. They can do it, and they can do it. With the right person at the helm, like John, they can do it beautifully.
So then do you think that from a national level, be it policy or references or what we are told to aspire towards, there's a bit too much trying to replicate other countries versus really figuring out what works for Singapore, what can make us stand out?
If you're talking about like my industry, I don't know what they're doing because I'm not even like, how do I say? I have no idea what the administration is doing because I'm not in line or aligned with them. So when I started, so we go back to my origin story, right?
Yeah.
So when I started the company, it was just to do my own like one woman shows, and it was more like I guess just to an accounting and legally put everything in the right place. So I started a private limited company. And because I started a private limited company, I have not been able to really avail myself of any help from the government agencies. I mean, they say they can help. I mean, it's like if you call, they will deny. I mean, I'm saying they will say, oh, but we've offered you to, and it's true. I mean, maybe they made the odd phone call or whatever, but the truth is that they are so busy with all the other sort of like not-for-profit or so-called charity companies. Sorry, I shouldn't do this, but the other charity companies that they don't have time for. Actually, I think I might possibly be the only
independent
business that is not not-for-profit or a charity. I don't know this for a fact, but I don't know anybody else personally that does this. So I have no idea what they are doing or how they are planning or whether they are doing any research to find out what's happening there to bring here. I don't know what their ultimate game plan is, or if there is a game plan, or is it just that they are just going to, come out with some projects every now and then and just sort of like move things along and and then change over people, and then I don't really know.
You just focus on like what you all want to make.
Because every time I've had a conversation, every time I've gone in to have a conversation, they'll tell me the same thing. Oh, we wish we could help you, but you're not a theatre company. You're not a not-for-profit company. And when they say not-for-profit, what they mean is that they can't take dividends, let's say. You understand? A company that earns profit after everybody has been paid, that profit sometimes becomes dividends that is then divvied up to shareholders.
Yeah.
So theatre companies are not registered that way. Theatre companies are like associations, let's say, or charities, right? So what they do is that they are called not-for-profit, as in they don't make a profit, but they just pay. They make enough to pay,
sustain themselves.
Pay whatever.
Yeah.
But as to what they pay, whatever, that is, I mean, they can pay so that they don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like everything. It's just a question of accounting, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, I'm sure they have rules and regulations, and there's a lot of oversight. I mean, there's a lot of people like submitting of reports and like making sure that everybody is on the straight and narrow. But for some reason they don't want to look at companies that are not registered as a not-for-profit.
Okay.
So,
I mean, we talk a bit about the institutions, what they do. But what about the people? Do you think Singaporeans have become more supportive or less supportive of the local art scene and films and theatre and everything?
Less.
Less. Is it?
I think different industries maybe got different. I see like music and all that, right? Let's say if I look at music, let's start from like when I was younger. I remember I was quite into like local bands or whatever. I'm not sure I feel the same level of excitement. I don't know with like local bands nowadays or like music nowadays. Maybe there is a little bit, but I'm just out of it. But in terms of theatre, right? We grew quite exponentially.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. And then we kind of slumped quite. I mean, obviously because we're non-essential.
You mean theatre in general, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, theatre in general. I mean, because we were deemed unessential. So we plummeted down to the depths, right? And then came out of COVID. I think the government put a little bit of money into it, so they we rose a little bit, but the audiences have gotten used to a COVID lifestyle, I feel. It's like last time, it's like Thursday night, Friday night, let's go somewhere, let's do something, let's Saturday, let's go, Yeah, it's like all about. Now I think people are happy to like, it was all right. It was okay. Staying at home was all right.
Yeah.
We could watch, we could Zoom, we can make we can make podcasts, listen to it. Stay at home, we're all right. We're all right. Life's not so. And then they travel a lot more because that was the thing that hurt the most, right? Because we're so small.
Yeah.
And then everybody can travel. It's like, I'm out of here. They're like, so people travel, I think, are willing to spend on travel. In the theatre, they come back, but they're not. We just did like Broadway Bing, let's say. So like last time people would buy, some people, they're like avid fans. Straight away you sell tickets, right? They'll buy 4 shows. They'll say, okay, this show, okay, I come 4 times. And straight away they'll buy.
Yeah.
Now the same people will only buy maybe 2, maybe 1. I mean, I said, you know what I mean? It's just
anecdotally,
So, but I mean, thankfully with the Dim Sum Dollies, I mean, tickets have been good. People have been buying early. They know they want to watch it. I think also because they miss, they haven't had quite, before 2 years ago, there was quite a long time without us.
Yeah.
But still the general feeling is that a lot more work has to be put out to convince people to part with their money. Everybody's thinking at the back of their head, what if I have this money, but what if something were to happen? Like, should I really be spending the money now? I mean, that's the sentiment I get.
I see. And what about like the individuals in the industry themselves? Because, you mentioned earlier that when you, from young, you knew you wanted to pour your heart and soul into this industry. Do you still see the same level of passion amongst the newer generation?
There are definitely some really passionate young people who are coming into the industry, but nowadays, I guess, because things go about a very different way. Now they go to school. Now they want to be actors, singers, whatever.
School, yeah.
They go to acting school. They go to LaSalle, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not knocking school. I mean, it's great, but school has a way of
sucking the soul out, is it?
not sucking the soul out, but school has a way of like putting things into
boxes.
Everything you have to do this first, then you can do this, then you can do this, then you can do that. Then you like slowly, so that it gets rid of that initial fire. I feel the like that kind of like, I don't care how many boxes there are, I'm gonna do it all. You don't have that. So because school takes longer, I feel that you don't, by the time they come into work, right, you feel like it's not really, like got passion or not. But because it's not that they don't have passion, they have. It's just that it's been spread. It's been like kind of like a little bit here, a little bit. It's like, and then they're thinking, they're like, oh, I'm acting like this, but should I really be acting like that?
The theory is killing it too much.
Yeah. What did my, what does the Bible, the book say about? Yeah. And that's in the performance. Like when I do feel that like before I went professional, like you're just free. I act like that lah. So how? I mean, I don't know. Nobody taught me, right? Yeah. This is the way I act, like that. Oh, there we are. And you feel free. You feel happy about it because then when you become professional and sort of like your livelihood depends on it, you tend to go like, let me read up a little bit about this first. Then you start reading, and then it kind of messes with for me, it kind of messed with my mind a little bit. It's like, then you think, oh, maybe mine doing it freely was not really the right way to do. Maybe I needed to have this process. Then because I never actually go to school to study the process. Yeah. Then you kind of like, then you get stuck.
Second guessing
yourself. Then you think like, oh, maybe I'm not that funny after all. Maybe I'm not, Then you go through that period of like, oh, then after a while you realize that whatever, you just do it the way you did it the first time.
But you mentioned about the freedom, just doing it freely and all that, right? But is there also something in how comedy, or at least like what the climate around comedy has been in the last 10 years? Have things changed?
Yeah, I think it sounds like it's been pretty good. For instance, like last time we didn't have a circuit, right? I mean, it's like there was no bar circuit or like... Yeah. Last time it was just Kumar. I mean, it was just like, whatever. It was just wherever Kumar was, that's where stand-up was, right? So it's like now I mean with Rishi and now I know, there are a few like, our Prem or whatever, like who has the east side. So there's like, actually like and smaller places, smaller venues to go to, which feels a little bit like, I guess, kind of like the East Village kind of a feel where like, like New York, there's like small places like that. Something like tonight I do here, tomorrow I do there. That kind of.
But I didn't really mean the infrastructure. I meant how people, like what people perceive as funny or versus what is offensive.
Cancel culture.
Like
the one I don't understand, sorry.
But in the last 10 years, like coming with jokes and everything, do you have to second guess yourself?
I just had this conversation recently.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It pissed me off a bit. But I feel, maybe because I'm not schooled enough in what is today, I feel it's all a little bit like just talking in circles. It's like, if I think it's funny, then it's funny, yeah.
But has it impacted your writing for even this upcoming show? Because you're doing it in this current climate.
Yeah. So I've written a couple of things, and then I've had some comment back about it, like I'm being insensitive or whatever, and at first I was, thinking, maybe I am being insensitive, but then I thought, what the hell? I'm writing a satirical piece. I'm not a politician, right? What's there to be sensitive about? As in like, to me, okay, I know I'm Chinese, but I can't help that. I mean, I'm born. I mean, I know I'm Chinese. I know I'm here. I'm the majority race, but elsewhere, I'm also like, sort of like down in the pits or wherever. I mean, there's always somebody above and somebody below and whatever and all that. And I think last time I was told that there are certain accents that we can't put on anymore. And for like a split second, I thought about it. Then I thought, this is just crazy because there are 3 of us only. If there are accents that I cannot do, then I will only be playing 3 Chinese people. Because we happen to be 3 Chinese people. So it cannot possibly be, right? That then I'm doing the history of Singapore. Then what? Then they all be Chinese people. I will only be like representing the Chinese people in Singapore. And then would that not be more racist than if I don't represent, like everyone? So then they said, and then they said, no, you can't say this because, you sound like Trump if you say it. You're like, you're a bit xenophobic or what. But then I took it in for like a second and then I thought about it. I'm like, but I'm not a politician. I'm not running for office. I'm not, I'm just like, these views are not going to, I don't know, it's like, it's
not your own personal beliefs.
Yeah, right? And even if they were, I would be shouted out of, I mean, people who would be angry with me would just like never watch my show again because they don't align themselves with who I am anyway, right? So and if it's like so I just had to explain that actually this is comedy. I mean, it's broad comedy, and it's satirical like that. So it's normally when I put on an accent, it's not because I anyhow just decided to put on an accent, but it's probably a historical character. I mean, I can't make Imelda Marcos speak Singlish, for instance, right? Or Mrs. Soeharto speak, Chinese, right? So that it's just the way it is, and I think that sometimes because we live in a time when we overthink, like we overthink, like we are scared that we're going to be cancelled. It makes things a little bit like strange.
But do you have at the back of your mind maybe a thought that this might not go well, but I'm going to do it anyway? Or for you,
if it's true,
if
it's true, and I feel it needs to be said, then I will say it. But if it's not true, then there's no point saying it anyway. And then if it doesn't really need to be said, I mean, it's just like, and I'm just going to be offending a whole big group of people for
the sake of it.
For the sake of it, and there's nothing really, there's no point to be made. Then, just stupid, right? I mean, it's just like, it's nonsensical. So, yeah.
I mean, in some way, I think that's the best ad you can give for promoting your show. Because I think there's I think right now, the reason why I guess Terence was asking is because, I mean, you see it a lot, right, in comedy now, where there are certain things you cannot make jokes about. There are certain things you cannot say, which, I mean, it sometimes I think it goes overboard. And it almost makes it difficult because sometimes you need to laugh at things that no one talks about because that helps you understand, helps you wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
And I also don't believe there's anything that you cannot make a joke about. It is more about how you joke about it.
No, exactly. Okay, if I'm a person and I'm just standing up by myself now, and then I'm just rattling and I'm just saying something, right? Yeah, I mean, there are certain things that you wouldn't say in a particular way because there would be no point in offending somebody else. You know what I mean? Just for the sake of a few other people laughing, right? But in a context of like crafting a show together, where there are different perspectives. If we're talking about racism, for instance, right? Then maybe it's about who is the character who is the one who's being racist? Is it the character who's being racist, or is it the bunch of people who are writing it who are being racist? I think that's again a very different thing. Or if you're talking about like transgender issues, let's say, is it about an issue that needs to be discussed because there is some currency to it and a misunderstanding? I mean that there's something out there. And there's something that as a writer I want to get out there to like try and provoke a discussion or whatever. Then what kind of characters do I write in order to provoke that discussion without the sky falling down, let's say? I mean, it's just like, you just have, I mean, some thought has been put into it. So, but if you come into the theatre, and you're not prepared to be open as well, and you're going to get offended by, then please, by all means, stay at home because, seriously. I mean, just don't, because you know what we've been like for 20 over years now, so just buyer beware, I suppose. I mean, it's like, this is what you're gonna
What
get.
is the process of how you all come up with a show? Like, do you all sit down and you all pour your heart out? Like, these are the things I want to say, or what's that whole creative process like?
Sometimes I come up with like a sort of like general broad ideas, like, okay, these are the things I want to tackle, and then like the people who have been, like Pam and I, we've been working on it from the beginning. So I'll normally call Pam up first, and I'll say, so what do you think, this, and then Pam will give me her perspective, and then I'll talk to the director, or sometimes we'll sit down at a round table and then we'll go, okay, this is where we want to go, and then they'll all shoot their ideas, and then it's like I have to take exam, or I go all, then I'll study, and then I'll like do some research, and I'll put it together, and I'll come back and say, okay, son, this, then I'll pass out, and then they will read it. We will read it together, and then they'll say, son, not funny. This one, like, wow, this is horrible. This is okay. This is passable. This one, okay, this one I think we can accept. Like that kind of thing, and then you're like, okay. So
is that the point where you get the pissed off when you're saying pissed off? Like, I mean, for us also, like dealing with creative feedback is
even to each other.
Yeah.
It's painful.
It takes a while, man, to get. But my skin is so thick now, you couldn't say anything. You're like. So I mean, then they'll just like, then you just feel like, okay, today I failed. I mean, today is like, today 20 upon 120%. Then you go back, then you just do again. Then you come back and say, okay, it gets a little bit better. And then sometimes it's like, I really cannot already. I don't know what y'all want. I mean, it's like I already wrote until like how many times, and then we say, okay, now we'll have a session. We'll sit down. We'll trash it out like line by line. We'll say, like, what do you think? What do you think? And then we just do together lah.
I see.
So it's a many different ways to get. I remember I can't remember what year it was, where I was staying still in the apartment. Just like, and there was one, and I think I was at the end of my tether, as they say. But I was like, I can't do it. I mean, it's like, okay, this one, I really don't know what you want. I mean, I can't. Then I remember Pam came over, and then she said, okay, sister, we lie down here, and then we chill a while, and then after that, together, we will write every line. And if we laugh at the line, we keep. If we don't laugh together at the line, we throw. And then we just like worked it out and just trashed it out until we had a full song.
Wow.
Yeah. Shit. But that's the general thing, right? Because when we rehearse, if we don't laugh, means finish, gone. It's like we have to laugh first.
Yeah.
So how often does it come up where the idea you all know is damn funny, but it's just
doesn't work?
Or maybe it's damn funny, but you just cannot say one because this will be too polarizing. Has there been a time now where it's too controversial?
No, I don't think so.
Oh no, wow, that's awful.
Not like, because if it fits in the scene, it cannot really be too controversial. Because that means the line, if it doesn't fit in the scene, then there's no point in the scene really. Then you might as well just throw out. So our whole point is to serve the work, right? We're to serve the script, we're to serve each scene that we come up with. If that line is funny somewhere else in another alternate universe, but it doesn't work in this scene, then it doesn't belong there. But if it's offensive and it works in the scene, then it will probably be kept. Because it
serves the scene.
It serves the scene. Maybe it is meant to be offensive because an offensive person says it in the scene. Then it has to be kept because there are offensive people around. So then we have to keep it lah. But I don't think, I don't think so.
But that's great because
I don't think so.
I can imagine now, like, in this culture of like, POFMAs and censorship and all that, there's a tendency to self-censor.
Oh, I don't. I always tell people, that's not my job. That's the job of the government. They want to censor me, right? So I don't do their work for them, sorry. So I do my script, then I send to them. Then they go and do their work. They do their work already. Then they finish working. They come back to me. Then they will either say, okay, you can go ahead. Or they'll say, can you change this part? Then we will have a discussion. But I don't do their work for them. I don't think, I don't want censorship. I would like to live in a world with no censorship. So if they want censorship, then
it has to come from them.
They have to work on it.
So actually, you are the one who's probably pushing like the younger actors or comedians to not worry too much about censorship.
I'm not sure if anybody worries.
Really?
Because in the theatre, right, we're such a small group. I mean, don't tell everybody, but don't tell the government. But I don't think they really care about us there. I mean, it's like your podcast, maybe they care. Because we reach like a few thousand people out of like 5-6 million people. They're like, whatever lah, you want to go and you want to say what? But if you take that same thing and you put on the internet, then that's different. Then the different rules come into play.
Because comedians in Singapore, I mean, in recent years, there have been all this, like Malaysian comedian making fun of like the MH370, that kind of thing.
But that's in Malaysia. Oh, that's
US.
But that was a problem in Malaysia, right?
But actually, there was
in Singapore, did they react to her?
Yeah.
They were,
Is it?
Because Vivian Balakrishnan, right, apologized.
Yeah, Vivian Balakrishnan had apologized.
Because she had ties to Singapore.
Singaporean, right?
She's Singaporean.
She was Singaporean, yeah.
Oh, really? I thought she was Malaysian.
No. She's Singaporean making fun of Malaysia. That's why she was making fun of
based in the US. That's why Vivian Balakrishnan apologized to her.
Yeah. That's why I do feel...
not bad.
Yeah, I mean,
the minister can apologize on my behalf.
And I have felt that comedians have had to really think about where the line is, much more carefully.
I guess. I guess maybe in the stand-up comic world, but I don't really. Even when they come and do like stand-up comedy in Happy Ever Laughter, I always tell them, just tell me what's funny. I mean, just if you're just saying what everybody else has already said, it cannot possibly be funny. Right? So, yeah, I think. This is comedy lah. I think you need to be able to say what you need to say.
Good.
People want to get angry, they can talk about it. We can, therapy together and like, work away out. And then maybe in the end, if I really see that I have done you wrong, okay, I might apologize, but I don't set out to do anybody wrong. Right? I mean, nobody does. I mean, nobody understands like, I want to go and like, hurt this person.
I mean, got some people like that lah.
Okay, got lah. But I don't think like, I mean, generally we just want to
entertain.
Entertain and like, and just talk about things like shoot the breeze a little bit about like, life. Yeah.
So for this upcoming show, like, what is there anything that you're doing differently from previous shows, or is there something that you hope people what can people look forward to? Or what is...
Well, first of all, the last 10 years is all new territory for us because the last time we did a show that's history-based was for SG60, right? Yeah. And then now there's been 10 years and a lot has happened in 10 years, particularly in the political arena in Singapore and also in the social arena as well. So there's just, it is practically writing itself. I just like normally go like, see this article? We'll do a story, we'll do a scene on that. Just something along those lines. But then also, I think the most difficult part has been trying to ascertain what is actually historical and what is not. A lot of things that we involve ourselves with or we grumble about daily or like, this happened. It's not actually... that has no bearing on our historical timeline. So I've tried to like keep the historical timeline and then sort of all the little rumblings I put a little bit into the historical timelines. But yeah.
And just as a preview, like what is the most controversial or the craziest topic in the last 10 years that you are covering?
Wow.
I mean, just
tease.
There was a house.
That house.
There is a house. Sorry, no.
Actually, there are quite a few houses.
Oh, yes.
Some big, some smaller.
3 houses. Actually, more than that. I have a few houses. There's one scene that covers it all as a property agent scene. So there's also like, there's a lot of there are a lot of issues surrounding immigration and the white paper. I mean, the fact that we're already at like 6 million. Is it 6 million? Yeah. So there's a lot of that, and I think that is quite a thorn to some people. And I do see the xenophobia in it, and I do see, but I also do see the the real life challenges, the everyday life challenges. So it's kind of like how to put how to quote and how to make it to how to make a point and be funny at the same time.
Yeah. And the format will be like, it'll be typically it has been a series
skits.
of skits.
So it's always a series of skits, and then there's a lot of dancing, and then Hosen comes in and does these killer stand-ups in between that, and then we've got 6 bare-chested bodied men. I mean, so this show is not sexist at all. No. And then they come in and then they take off their clothes and then they dance around a little bit, or they whatever, and then and then they do a few flips here and there, and then and they sing wonderfully. They're great. Hello, my guys. So they do quite a lot of the heavy lifting in the show as well. And then we do a timeline from 1965 all the way till next year.
Wow.
Yeah, all the way to next year.
Wow. So something for to look forward to in advance of SG60.
For everyone,
Right?
The first of
the
May.
first.
The first SG60
the first
celebration.
and the sexiest. Well, to be first is to be quite sexy, I think.
Oh, that is awesome. And if people want to get tickets, where should they?
It's at Cystic this year. We're at Cystic. Okay. You go to their Cystic website.
We can put a link in the show.
Yeah. I think we're on from the 12th of December to the 21st. I think it's just like 11 shows, and I think we've sold quite a few, but there are some good seats left for the weekday shows.
And it's at Capitol Theatre, right?
Capitol Theatre, yeah. Capitol Theatre.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. So historic as well. Yeah.
Historic as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's nice.
So I mean, we have this one final segment of every podcast.
Yes.
Which is called the One Shiok Thing. And this is where just a segment where we kind of share something that we have come across with our listeners that they can enjoy. Like, it could be a video, a song, a link. So if we would like something from you also, but we can go first. So you have like 1 or 2 minutes to think.
Okay, what do I have to do again?
So
I have to come up with one Shiok thing.
If any video or any new song, something that you like that people can at home listening to this can enjoy.
Wow, that is damn stressful. So I find something and then I share.
No, like somebody talk about it.
Recommend. Something maybe you have seen recently, and maybe like not something that is like maybe a song that you have created or something. Something that you just chanced upon. You have a minute or two.
Now suddenly you ask me, I cannot think.
You say you're good with exams, right?
But
or even another.
This is tech exam, I cannot pass.
No, another artist or someone, another show or something that you want to recommend Netflix on.
Yeah, we can go first. We can go first. Terrence, you have yours?
Mine is just a YouTube video from the channel Man-Made. A guy who creates very interesting builds. He did a video called Creating the Most Satisfying Desk Ever. And so what he did is he handmade a desk, a study desk that has, the Japanese gardens with the sand on it.
Yeah.
So it has, you basically have a workstation, but you also have the Japanese sand with a bonsai and everything in front, and you can just peacefully, while working, you can also tend to your Japanese garden. So he really built that from scratch. And he made a video that is like a 45-minute video about it. And it's very satisfying to watch.
And that is his work.
As a YouTuber, yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. People.
I want to know how much time he spends actually doing the bonsai.
It was quite insane, the whole build. Yeah, so this one is a 45-minute video, but worth watching. Yeah. And Harish, what's your one Shiok thing?
My one Shiok thing is this content that I have a channel that I've watched quite a few videos from. It's called CNBC Make It. So, if anyone is interested in like business or doing your own thing, they make these pretty short and concise videos, like 9 minutes long, 10 minutes long, of people who have, started businesses from their own room or dorm and built it up into a significant business. It could be a cafe or something. And the nice thing is, as opposed to reading an article or something, this one is a video that shows what they have built. Of course, with most stories like this, sometimes they're like people calling them out, oh, this company is actually shit, But if like you're working on something and you just need a bit of a boost or motivation, right? I always find these videos are quite nice to watch. Yeah, CNBC Make It. They have a whole series covering entrepreneurs that have built up businesses on their own to something that quite impressive.
What's the one example that
I think there was this one cafe. Okay, so the one I saw recently is about this person who the founder and CEO of Freya, a company that sells work totes, shoulder purses, and travel accessories. So she just started 4 years ago, and over the last 12 months, brought in 9 million in revenue.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's just a story of someone who started this thing, making a couple, and then slowly built up from there.
Nice.
Yeah, CNBC make it. So those are our Shiok things.
Yeah.
Oh, you all never tell me this ahead of time.
Because I mean, you're such a wonderful
Wow.
performer.
I'm sure you have
We
a lot,
felt if we tell you ahead of time, it would be too easy.
You go and visit my brother's food channel. How about that?
Okay.
Or my son's aeroplane taking off channel. Nowadays, everybody is just about content.
Yeah.
Even my 9-year-old can tell me, oh no, this content not doing well, but my aeroplane take off, the content take very well. Not bad, huh? Okay, I like to watch this. I have to tell you, it's a bit. Well, actually, my husband was the one who introduced me to it, but now I have to find it. It is about this completely silent Korean person building tents in the outdoors.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. I think he is called. I cannot find the one. It's called the Out. What is it called?
Korean person building tents.
Don't worry,
solo camping. I send to you later. But anyway, he just has like the most like he'll just drive his car to like somewhere like on a cliff or mountain or whatever, park on the side, right? Then he'll quietly open the boot. Then he'll quietly take out all the things. Then he will build the tent.
Yeah. But is it ASMR like meant to?
No. I don't know.
Oh no. But then
maybe
you
it's
watch
because
it.
I watch it silently.
Maybe there's someone talking and then you do.
Then I watch it when everybody's asleep. Then it's like all silent.
Maybe he's explaining everything like step 1, step 2, step 3.
His mouth never open it. How?
Okay.
That's voiceover.
No, it's silent. I'm sure it's silent.
Okay,
Then he just build everything, and then to clinch it all right. At the end of it, right, he will make his Korean meal. Like he will just like cook for one person now.
I see.
Actually, there's a bunch
Then
of
he will
videos.
eat like that.
Is
Then
it Ryu Camp by any way?
Something like that.
And
No,
then
but
you can watch him eating also lah.
you watch him eating,
I see.
but not. It's not the main highlight. I know some of those like the but and it's just like a small thing. Then he'll eat already. Then he'll keep everything. He'll wash the plate very nicely. He'll roll. Then he'll put the bed out, and then after he'll roll the thing down, and then he'll go to sleep.
Is it this one? Something like this.
This one.
Okay, so the title is Inflatable Tent Camping with My Dog, Korean Ramen Roboki, Wood Stove ASMR. So it is.
ASMR. Okay,
But I never listen to the sound because it's at night. I never listen headphone.
The sound is the
I
best
told you
part.
I like quiet. Don't listen to
No, but you never know. If maybe you try, you like, the ASMR.
They say the hair on the back of your neck will stand on, when he cut the
I
bibimbap,
don't need it to stand. I want the tent to stand. That's it.
the crunch of the kimchi. Wow, that was
that's why.
Yeah. Sometimes they show you where he go and buy the tofu and whatever.
Maybe the next time you watch, you just try listening.
I
It might blow your mind.
I borrow your headphones. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
Thanks so much, Selena.
No
for
problem.
taking the time.
Thank you so much. I mean, all the best to your show. We'll
Thank
put a
you.
link in the show notes.
Please come and watch.
Oh,
Come,
yeah.
Ray will organize
Awesome.
for you.
We would love
Yeah.
to be there.
Yeah.
And if people want to find out more about you, like any like where should people look for you online?
Instagram or what?
Instagram.
Big Dim Sum Dolly is my Instagram, which I hardly ever use, but it's there. And I think the rest of it is just online, like Wikipedia and
Dream Academy.
Dream Academy. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Selena.
All right. Hey, thanks for your time. Thanks. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
And thanks everyone for listening. We'll talk to y'all soon.